Hey everybody, this is IndieGeek, and I am excited to bring you kind of an interesting look at today. So what I have here is a package of games called the Retro Game Crunch, and this whole package is 7 games in total, and they are made by Rusty Moyer, Sean Inman, and Matt Grimm, whose names of course you can see there. And the idea started with Super Clue Land, which they made for a Ludum Dare competition, and then decided that they wanted to continue making games together. So they kickstarted the idea to make 6 more games in 6 months. And now they are all done, and they are put into one package called the Retro Game Crunch for $15 total. And so what I'm going to do here, I've played a bit of all of them. I am going to, I think, kind of just do one video for this and do like 5 or 6 minutes on each game, which may seem kind of short and quick, but I think it will still give you kind of an idea of what's going on in each game, and I think that'll be the best way to do this rather than trying to do like 7 videos. So let's go ahead and start with game number 1, Super Clue Land Complete. And I will be using my Xbox 360 controller for all of them. This is the only one that I've actually played through to completion, and you saw it... Yeah, that's fine. I will erase my save and start from the beginning. You saw that it took about 45 minutes. So, in this one, we play as Clue here, and we've got to collect food, and then we're going to use this little interface to put our bits of food in the right locations here to match the patterns, and that is going to allow us to eventually evolve. And so the way this game works is it's essentially a Metroidvania game, and that probably won't be super apparent because I'm only going to play 5 minutes of it, but we will see me evolve, and with each evolution we get new powers. So like at the beginning I couldn't jump, but now I can jump, which is obviously an upgrade from what we were just doing. And let's see, we do have a map, although it is pretty empty, as you can expect, since we haven't really explored around yet. So like I said, this is okay. So those are save points. So I guess I can. Oh nope, I can't swim yet. Forgot about that. This is the problem with Metroidvanias when you play through the game and then go back, you kind of forget what's going on. I'm going to mention this now, and I'll probably mention it in every one after, but each of these games has really, really great art and music to them. You know, obviously, I mean, they are calling it the Retro Game Crunch, and it's pretty clear, you know, kind of the games that they're trying to sort of emulate with this. And I think it's a super cool idea to, you know, kind of recreate games from the past that, you know, a lot of people love, and a lot of people are going to, you know, want to pick this up to play kind of modern interpretations of older styles of games. You know, a lot of these remind me of things like that I played on the original Game Boy growing up, which is awesome because I'm sitting here kind of getting this blast from the past in a way. I mean, the music is like totally what you'd expect from like a classic Game Boy game, as well as the art. I mean, it's detailed enough that you can tell what's going on, but it's pretty simple art, and I appreciate that a lot. But another thing that's just a staple through this whole collection of games is that the gameplay is really good and really fun. And this was actually one of my favorites out of the whole collection. And if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm sure you are realizing that that's because this one's a Metroidvania. And there's another one that's also a Metroidvania, which I also really, really enjoyed. So now I can go in the water. And I think it's kind of an interesting mechanic as far as how to gain powers, because, you know, that's always kind of what defines one Metroidvania game to another, is the process by which you collect new powers, basically. And rather than like finding them in the environment, we are eating smaller creatures to evolve, which I think is I think it's a pretty neat system. I haven't really seen it done before, not that I can really think of. Don't know if we'll get another evolution out, but I mean that that pretty much wraps up what's going on with Super Clue Land. It really opens up later. It starts pretty simple. We see there weren't a lot of places we could go, but it won't be too much longer before there are actually lots of places that we can go. But I think that kind of covers my thoughts on the game. I really like Super Clue Land. It is one of my favorites out of this collection. And yeah, I mean, there's not a lot more to say about it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get another evolution. I'll see if I can real quick, and then we'll call it good after that. Oops, that was dumb. Actually, okay, so I'm gonna die on purpose here. See if I can get an evolution. No, we're not gonna get an evolution. That's okay, though. I think you guys kind of get what's going on with this one. This one is definitely good. It's, like I said, one of my favorites, and I think it is really representative of the kind of quality that you're going to see throughout the rest of this. So, stay tuned, because next we have End of Line. Alright, and we are back with End of Line. So this is Game 2 in the Retro Game Crunch, and again, I'm just going to jump in. Going to be erasing a lot of saves this episode. So this one is kind of interesting, because it plays backwards from what you'd think it should. So we've got these little helper guys that bring us back to life, but the goal of each level is actually to figure out how to die enough ways so that they can't bring you back to life anymore. And this is definitely like a concept that I've never seen really done in a game before. It's interesting. It plays like backwards, basically, from what you think a game like this would normally play. So, in this one we've got a little bit more of a kind of futuristic environment. It reminds me a lot of Mega Man, and a lot of that is probably just because we're like a little blue robot. But, I think the whole style of it is kind of like classic, the original Mega Man games kind of style here, and I appreciate it. I think it looks really good. And I think I actually like this soundtrack better than Super Clue Land's soundtrack. Alright, so we're going to do that. And let's see, he should come over here now. Smash him. Yep. So unlike Super Clue Land, this one is this is more of a puzzle kind of game. Where we're basically trying to figure out how we're going to get through each area. So, for example, now we've got that situation. Put that block there. Now we can bring this down here. Now we got both of the buttons taken care of, and we can attack both the enemies. Or, I guess, not enemies, they're more like friends, but, kind of what's going on here, from what I've gathered, is we're probably just trying to escape. And obviously to do that, we can't have them, bringing us back to life every time. But yeah, this is, it's definitely a fun one. It's kind of the puzzle game of the bunch. I think it might be the only puzzle game in the bunch, now that I think about it. But it's it's just as good as any other one. I certainly appreciate a good puzzle game. I haven't played much farther than this, actually, so I'm not sure how difficult it gets. But for the most part, these have been pretty straightforward. I think the only really strange part about this one was actually figuring out at the very beginning when I started playing what exactly I was supposed to be trying to do. Okay, so we've got interesting switch puzzle here. Okay, so I've got to figure out what did that last one again. Alright. Because now we want to push him, of course, all the way back across to the other side. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing to take away from this video, you know, I'm going to try and not tread the same ground over and over here, but the biggest thing to take away is that, first of all, these three are really, really good at making games, and they're really, really good at making games together. It definitely seems like they, you know, I mean, they must have a pretty good, you know, kind of like cohesion together. Wow, yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with this one. Let's see. Yeah, because I can't, like, attack him in midair or anything. Well, unfortunately we might be leaving it off with a bit of a stumper here, but I guess that kind of answers the question of the difficulty on this, because this puzzle is tripping me up for some reason, but I think that is where I'm going to leave this one off. So this is End of Line, and it is Game 2 in the Retro Game Crunch, and I will see you back very, very soon with Game 3. Alright, we are back with Game 3 of the Retro Game Crunch, and this is Guy Attack. So, this one is actually possible to play co-op, but your score and time, as it says, are not submitted, which makes me think there must be some kind of leaderboard at the end of this. This is another one that I have not beaten, and I actually have no idea how long this one would be. I played long enough to get through the kind of first section of the game, so the way this starts is we've got these sections here where we're just kind of beating up these critters. And this is very, very different, obviously. I mean, if you've been, you know, watching and not just listening to the other games in the Retro Game Crunch so far, you probably have already noticed that this one is quite a bit different. Oh no, and I actually died there. That's okay though. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of just like this arena-based brawler in a way. You know, pretty simple. All of these games are pretty simple, actually. If I haven't mentioned, only a couple buttons each game. So that is, you know, that's a good bit of news. It's always nice to sit down and just play some simple games. And I think some of these do a really good job of showing that a game can control really well and not use very many buttons and still be a pretty tough game, which I think is something that a lot of developers have kind of forgotten. You know, because I mean, I'm thinking about like the games I grew up with, you know, things like, you know, Super Mario World and A Link to the Past and stuff like that, you know, and all these great games that were not that complicated. You know, I mean, the controls were super simple, but they were, like, pretty tough, you know, and still to this day kind of stand up as being not the easiest games ever. So, you know, the way this one kind of works is we get to these sections that stop and we fight a group of enemies, and then we get to fight our way to the next section. And this pretty much repeats for a while. At the top of this level we get to an airship and fight a boss there, and then that drops us into level 2. And like I said, I don't know how many levels there are, I don't know how long this goes, but my recommendation for this one would be probably play it with a friend. You know, especially because there is that co-op option. If you have the option to play co-op, you know, and have someone who wants to sit down and just play some kind of brawling action with you, I'd say do it that way. Mostly because this one feels quite a bit more repetitive than some of the other games in the bundle. But, you know, hopefully we can make it to the airship before the video's over. Be kind of cool to show off the boss fight. I haven't really been using my special power either, but I didn't find much of a reason to need to use it until I got to the boss fight when I played before. So, if you couldn't tell, the pink guys drop hearts, purple guys are just normal, don't drop anything, and the yellow guys drop the power for the power-up. Alright. Yeah, we'll probably get to the airship before calling this one quits. Yeah, I think, like, as far as the pack of games as a whole, you know, not that I'm gonna sit here and rank them for you. The problem with ranking them, of course, is that they are all very different. Oh, and I actually died. Well, I will fight a couple more things, and then we'll wrap this up. You know, the problem with, like, ranking them against each other, like I was saying, was that they're all different genres and everything, so they're really not even, like, able to compare to each other. So yeah, it looks like we'll fight this boss here, and then we'll call it good. So that was my power. And that's, I mean, that's pretty much how this boss fight goes. I pretty much just use the power on him. Yeah, I gotta use the power! No, really though. I mean, like, you know, the biggest thing for me about this whole collection of games is, like, I mean, I'm 21, and, you know, I grew up with things like the Game Boy, and played a lot of SNES in my day, you know, stuff like that. And if you're a big fan of that kind of era of gaming, then this pack is definitely going to appeal to you. So then we end up in level 2, and I assume this just kind of keeps going and keeps getting harder. But that is where I'm going to wrap up looking at Guy Attack, and I will see you soon with Game 4. Alright, we are back with Paradox Lost, and this is by far my favorite game in the pack of 7 games. As we've seen with every other game, I'm going to erase my save here. So we start off with Abby here. Oh, my head. The plane crashed. I'm alive? Alright, so if you haven't figured out by now why this is my favorite, then you have not watched my videos before, and that's cool. You know, you don't need to watch all my videos. It's not what I expect. But I am a huge fan of Super Metroid, and this is very, very much their kind of retro game crunch version of Super Metroid. You know, I mean, I said Super Clue Land had Metroidvania elements, but that one was not, like, strictly a Metroidvania game. This is, like, basically a carbon clone of a Metroid game, and that is super cool. I love it. So, in my future, mankind has all but died out. Our ancestors are the key to humanity's survival. You're coming with me. I might need to do this one for just a tad bit longer than I did the other videos, just because I want to kind of show off what's going on, and that takes a few minutes to get to where we want to be, but we'll see. Oh no, and I died. That's no good. Yep, I know. Alright, so all we're doing here is convincing the gun bearer here to hit themselves. Oh no. Flip. Yes, this, like I said, this video will probably go a little longer than the other games in the pack. Just because this one takes kind of the most time to really kind of get to the meat of the game. Which is actually pretty standard for, like, a Metroid game. Okay, well, I'd prefer not to die again here. It's funny, I did this in like one try when I played earlier. Let's Player's Curse, right? Alright, cool, so we got the gun. So, now we can go different places, of course. We can kill the enemies. Oh, and of course I just will die immediately on the first enemy I see. That's fine though. Yeah, I mean, speaking of like Let's Playing, this like quickly joined my list of potential games to Let's Play soon. I think this could be a really fun alternative because, you know, I've talked about kind of the issues with Let's Playing Super Metroid, and I think this would be actually like a good alternative to it. And that's, I mean, that is like huge praise. Basically what I'm saying is I like this game already and would put it near the same level as like a Metroid game. This one I think does by far have my favorite music in the whole pack, as well as probably my art. I really, my favorite art. It's not my art. I can't take credit for this. I think if I made anything, it wouldn't look nearly this good. But, you know, as far as like the art stuff goes, I feel like this one has the most kind of atmosphere to it. And, you know, that goes along with the music as well. The music is very atmospheric, and of course, you know, it reminds me a ton of like the Super Metroid soundtrack, which I would assume... Yeah, I can't go down there yet. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to like get my bearings here and remember. It's like trying to speedrun a game that you have not beaten. Because I'm trying to get kind of to the next power-up here to show off what's going on. I mean, I'm sure you guys can already kind of guess at what's next. So there's our slide, which of course is basically the equivalent of the morph ball. And then there's one more thing. I think I can actually still get to this maybe before the 5 minutes are up. Yeah, I mean, everything about this one just really, really screams Super Metroid, though, and that does a lot for me. I mean, that's pretty much already sold me on the game. Let's see, I don't remember if there was something up here that I wanted or not. Nope. That's quite alright. The other thing to kind of mention, and this is just kind of an off-the-cuff kind of remark about it, all of these games seem like they could be really fun to speedrun. So there we go, that's what I wanted to show. So, you know, if you thought that we were just going with a typical Metroidvania, you were mistaken, because what we've got here, and this will actually give us the time, this will be perfect actually. So the Time Priestess says, "My people have been taken. Use this to return them to the past. Seal the cracks in time." So now we get our charge shot, and if we charge shot a crystal, we change time periods. And I think that, I mean, that'll be where I leave this one off, but that was enough to have me super intrigued. And then, you know, there's 28 people that we're trying to save, and I'm assuming there's going to be some bosses and lots of collectibles to find. But I'm going to wrap this one up here. I think that gives you a good idea of what's going on with Paradox Lost, and I will see you back with Game 5 very soon. Alright, we are back with Game 5, which is Wub Wub Weskew. So, yeah, that's the only time I'm going to say that. But let's just jump right in here. Yes, as always. I will apologize, there was probably a resolution change from the last game to this one, but that's because the games show up in a different resolution. And as far as I can tell, this is the Donkey Kong Jr. clone. That's, you know, not that it's a clone, obviously. None of these are clones. They're all kind of, you know, a play on the old games. I don't want to give you the wrong impression about these games. This is, and I don't know if I'm missing like a different game comparison here, but a lot of it has just made me think of Donkey Kong Jr. Because I remember many times trying to play Donkey Kong Jr. and dying because I jumped instead of going down a rope or something. Silly stuff like that. And, you know, those rules are present here as, I think, kind of just a throwback to that game. But, you know, I mean, like I said, Donkey Kong Jr. was not really my thing, so this is probably near the bottom in terms of like which games are my favorite and which games I'm probably going to play more of. Ooh, yay. How in the world? Oh, okay. So yeah, I actually I only played the first couple levels of this, so this is new territory for me. You know, there were 7 games here, and I kind of took way too long when I was testing stuff out, playing Paradox Lost and Super Clue Land. So some of these I have not played as much as I probably should have. But that's interesting, so that does change things a little bit here. I will say, you know, the, again, as always, like, the art and music are pretty good in this one. The music in this one is pretty simple. It's, you know, just some drums. Probably got, like, some congos and bongos going. That's what it sounds like anyways. And, you know, I like the art a lot, though. Oh, so I can't even... Oof. It almost sounds like I said woof there, which was a nice little kind of pun. But you know, the art on this one is really nice. I like... Oh no, and I fell off. So like I said, this is probably one of the harder ones in the pack. Mostly because it is, if I'm correct in assuming, it is playing off the Donkey Kong Jr. style gameplay, and the controls feel as such, and anyone who's played Donkey Kong Jr. probably understands what I'm saying about the controls. But, you know, if you are into Donkey Kong Jr., I think this will probably be your jam here. Like I said, though, as with all the other games, it's still fun. I still really like the art and the music to it. Alright. Oh, and it just like caught my tail. Darn. Alright, well I'll probably give this one more shot and then probably call it good. I mean, as you can tell, the other games I was not having much trouble with. This one, this is like level 4 and I'm already kinda stuck in a way. But I suppose that's good news for anyone that was curious about the difficulty. There are definitely games in here that will appeal to people who like a harder game. Oh, and now we're on to Act 2. Oh man, alright, well let's see what's going on with this. I think that just gives us our... Oh yeah, because we're gonna need it for this jump here. Oh, holy cow, that's rough. Well, anyways, that's probably where I need to wrap this one up. So yeah, this one is fun too. It's not my favorite, but you know, I'm sure it'll be someone's favorite. I think that's, you know, that's kind of the nice thing about this pack, is that there's something there for everyone. So I will be back very soon with game number 6. Alright, we are back with game 6. Game 6 is Brains and Hearts, which is actually a card game, so this is pretty interesting. And this is another one that you can play by yourself against a computer or with a friend. And let's see, I'm going to choose Brains, and I'm going to turn the help on, and then we get to choose our song like good old Tetris or something. I always like that Tetris let you choose the music. So, welcome to Brains and Hearts. The goal is to capture the most cards. Brainstein always plays first because he has no heart. Brainstein heard that. Brainstein does not forget. Forget is what brains do best. Take a card from your deck and add it to your hand. Alright, so then we place a card from our hand onto the board and try to create ascending runs from 3 or more cards to capture your opponent's cards. So, for example, 3, 4, 5. Runs must start on one of your cards and contain at least one of your opponent's cards. You can also capture cards by creating a 3 of a kind. So I'm gonna put my 6 there. You can lock your cards, and if you lock a card, no one can use it in a run, and it only lasts for 1 turn. Locking, I mean. So, like what I'm gonna want to do here. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I want to place this 7 and lock it. Oh, dang. Yep, he was able to get my card anyways. So, this is one that I have not really quite figured out. It's kind of hard. Like, I haven't had the greatest luck with this one at all. Let's see. Can I do this and go like? Okay, so yeah, I want to go 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yep. So I'm gonna do that. Ah, I thought maybe I could continue it up to my 5. Well, that put me a little bit in the lead anyways. And now we'll be tied. Oh no, he passed me. Weird. Okay. So... yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't quite figured this one out yet. I think mostly just because it's a little complicated. And I feel like the computer is pretty good. I think it could be an interesting one to do with friends, though. Definitely. I mean, I don't have quite as much to say about this one as the others. I think it is nice that there's a card game here, because I know, you know, people like card games, and I think this is, I mean, if nothing else, it's a different kind of card game. If it says anything, I am doing much better than I was doing. Oh, you know what? I think what I'm missing is that I think the run has to start with my card, which is why some of those times I'm like, how come it won't play? And it's because I'm really bad at understanding rules. But, you know, this one, it's just different, I think, is probably the best way to put it. Well, I guess I'll put that there. I'm not gonna be able to do anything with it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna lose here, but I'll let this game play out. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a lot to say about this one. Other than like I'm pretty bad at it. So we ran out of cards, so now we are forced to go to the to rolling the die. And with the die, we can increment or decrement. So it should be game over, but it's not, because we get to roll and see what we can do here. So I can decrement, but I can't decrement my own cards, only theirs. I can't really imagine me. Well, I don't know. Can I win now? I don't think I can. I don't know. This happened when I was trying the game out as well. I pretty much, yeah, I got put in a situation where I just couldn't do anything. But yeah, I mean, that's gonna be Brains and Hearts. It's, you know, it's a little different, but it's kind of cool. I don't really get it, but you know, it's nice to have a card game in the mix. It's definitely very different from the rest of the games in the pack. So I you know, hope you enjoyed my thoughts on that one, and we will be back with the final game in just a minute. Alright, we are back with the 7th and final game, Shooten. So, let's just jump in here. Again, this is one that you can play with 1 or 2 players. How interesting, and it looks like it's actually going to let me just start from where I left off earlier. So I think what I'll do is I'll go back and do the first stage here. So, this works kind of like a scrolling shooter, and yeah, that was a bad example because I just died immediately. So, I think my favorite thing about this one is what I just did there, which, okay, I'm going to mention a game here that probably not a lot of people have played. I don't know, I think, I don't know, a lot of people have heard of it, but not everyone. There's a game on PS1, it was Square Enix, or Square Enix, I'm never sure how to say that, but anyways, Brave Fencer Musashi, right? And it was kind of overshadowed by Final Fantasy VII, but it had this system in it where you could basically steal the power from the enemy and then use it on them or use it on other enemies. And this has that as well. So what I'm doing there is stealing power. And as you can see, different enemies have different powers. So, you know, I've got my regular sword attack, or you can collect powers from other enemies and use that to your advantage. And other than that, I mean, the game is pretty much straightforward. You know, we're gonna run through, fight the enemies, and then there's gonna be a boss at the end of the level. There is a shop in between levels that we can go to and spend the gold that we're collecting to power up weapons, buy armor, stuff like that. And here's going to be our boss. And this is the other thing, is you can use your sword to kind of deflect projectiles back at the enemy. So that is kind of the strategy here, is to just use the sword and, you know, hit this big wolf with his own medicine here. This is another game in the pack that I really like a lot. Yeah, I'm not doing well though. I'm almost out of lives. Alright. Oh, and now I don't have a power. That's... Oh, and that'll probably be game over, unfortunately. Oh, no. Yeah, well anyways, I'm going to move on to the next level here, see what I can do. Alright, well I want to collect someone's power here and see what's going on with that. Oh, nice. Although we can only have a couple out at a time, so that's kind of interesting. But they do hit multiple enemies, so that's helpful. Yeah, this is another one that has like some of my favorite art. You know, the only thing is, like, I'm not the biggest fan of top-down shooters, but again, like, it's nice that it's there. I mean, it's wild that, to me, it's kind of wild that this group of 3 people has made 7 games that are all like a totally different genre, you know, and all play differently, are all kind of inspired by different things, but all play really, really well. Like, there's not a bad game in the bunch. That's the thing, you know, there's games I don't necessarily like in the pack, but there aren't any bad ones. They're all really fun. You know, some of them I just might not, like, play all the way through. But, you know, I mean, you could definitely spend $15 in a worse way. I mean, oh, darn. You know, it's $15 for 7 games, and they're all, oh man. For some reason I was thinking that I had a power-up still. Okay, I want to get that power-up again. Oh gosh. I am kind of curious if maybe later in the levels enemies will actually use these powers on you as well. This one we've got kind of this big bird thing going on. Oh yeah, I kind of figured I would lose here. But, you know, that's gonna kind of wrap up my time here with Shuten. And I think probably the best thing to do now would be to kind of give my overall thoughts on the collection as a whole. First of all, I want to say that it is like an incredibly good value. I mean, it's $15 normally, and I think it's actually on sale where you can purchase it. And as always, I think I forgot to mention at the beginning, but of course I will have a link in the description to where you can purchase it. And you know, like I said, there's not a bad game in the bunch. I think there's something in here for everyone. And especially if you're like me and are kind of always looking for kind of throwbacks to retro games, I think this is a kind of a must-have in your collection. Because not only does it, you know, does it kind of throw back to so many games, but it does it really, really well. And they're all fun, they all look great, they all sound great. Yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers my thoughts on this. I give this collection a glowing recommendation because I think that it is very, very much worth your money, and I think that, like I said, there's something in here for everyone. So I suggest you to pick it up and find what's in here for you. So, as always, feel free to leave comments if there's anything that you'd like to comment on, or, you know, if you have any other questions about the games, anything like that, go ahead and leave a comment and I will answer. Subscribe to the channel to see more of my videos every single day, and if you liked my look at the Retro Game Crunch, please consider clicking the like button, because that could help me out a lot, and I appreciate everything that you do to help. So with all of that being said, I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.